One team already knocked out. Another one to follow in just a moment. Got another Texan team, the Houston Outlaws, and the San Francisco Shock coming up next.
This is going to be a banger of a match. The San Francisco Shock having a dominant kickoff clash, but faltering so far in the playoffs. They have not looked clean, almost taking a loss to the Washington Justice and then falling to the Atlanta Reign yesterday. Not the San Francisco Shock we've fallen in love with. And on the other side, Houston Outlaws has been an inconsistent team so far throughout the season, mainly on the back of that Dante Doomfist. It either works or it really doesn't.
Yeah, and again, another team that you can kind of telegraph in a way if they're having Dante coming in. And in fact, we were speaking this morning, we were saying how good Dante is on the Doom. He's extremely consistent with getting the power-up punch, hitting people into a wall, and then finishing up with a double left click and killing the supports. And that's obviously how you want to start a team fight, right? Taking out the Ana or the Lucio. And the consistency is crazy, but sometimes there's just not much backup there for him. You've seen a lot of these clips, he gets the kills, but they end up losing the fight.
Well, you never see the clips of Dante just falling over, and that is the issue for the Houston Outlaws when they have him on that hero. If he is enabled to stay alive, be able to get into the backline, be a nuisance, the Houston Outlaws look great. But anytime a team has shown an ability to shut him down, either through sleeps or just biotic nades or just converging on him, it looks really ugly. So Jake lied to me about the secret sauce.
Yeah.
Unless the secret sauce was the Moira Reaper with the Doomfist, which doesn't really feel saucy enough for my liking.
Yeah, maybe we should have a little word with him.
We should.
I don't know. Let's bring him out though. Please put your hands together for the Houston Outlaws. The player coming out first, that's what you've got to keep your eyes on. Pelican, just God gamer in the flesh. He has been exceptional this season, and I think a big boom for the Outlaws as a whole in 2022. There was a massive signing. Everybody was so hyped for the Outlaws when Pelican came on roster.
Anyone who signs the Rookie of the Year of the previous year is obviously going to get an upgrade, and Pelican making magic happen yesterday on the Hanzo on Colosseo. I don't know how many kills he got. I'm just going to make up a number, 37. He got 37 kills at the end of that Colosseo and was just putting out a ton of work throughout the entirety of the series. But you need to keep that in mind. The Houston Outlaws, they were on the ropes. They were in trouble in that map and potentially the series if they didn't get that closeout. So they need to be cleaner and they need to play better fundamentally as a team if they're going to take down a team of the caliber of the San Francisco Shock.
Yeah, Dante is going to be starting, so we know it's going to be a little bit of Doom Fist. What do you want for Outlaws win?
Outlaws win. That'd be a nice birthday present for him.
It would be. It would be. But they are going up against the #1 seed. I'd be pretty scared if I were them right now, but two-time champs. They're here for a very good reason. They want to continue that legacy that they've built up. Please welcome the San Francisco Shock.
It's a vibe.
Another team that has picked up some crazy rookies. Proper, already in a lot of people's minds as the Rookie of the Year.
He put on some of those performances against the Washington Justice. He was the catalyst that led to that reverse sweep against the Washington Justice. But that is my point for the Shock right now. They need to come out quick out of the gates because so far they have lost the first 2 maps of both series that they've played in the playoffs. They need to be able to start strong, and it does begin with Proper. He went amiss in yesterday's match. We have him as slated as the MVP so far in the league, but he didn't really have that performance yesterday, and it needs to go to everyone else as well. Violet on that Lucio had a brutal first map and a brutal series overall. A hero he's not that comfortable on and hasn't put that much time into, but he has been fine so far throughout the season.
Yeah, compared to a lot of Lucio players that we have in the league, switching over to that role, you need that Lucio for every comp pretty much, unless you're running the Brig. Collusion starting lineup as well.
I have a question. Do you think there would be a chance that we'd see the Doomfist from Kaluge to match Dante? He's shown a willingness to play it in the past, definitely more comfortable on that Winston, but we know he's an 8'7" gaming warlord who can play anything and has the confidence to play anything. If anyone's going to match Dante, it's probably him.
Violet's Achilles heel is that Doomfist, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Got a couple of beats interrupted the other day, and it was at the hands of the Doomfist.
Same with Finn. A pick that the San Francisco Shock have been moving more towards is the Moira. And the Moira is very susceptible to the Doomfist because that punch can cancel that ultimate, a very crucial ultimate in the composition. I'm curious to see if the San Francisco Shock, knowing that the Houston Outlaws are going to play more Doomfist, if they're going to rely on the Ana.
Ilios, our first map. The other team's going to get eliminated here. And the winner will face, of course, the Dallas Fuel a little bit later. Will it be Battle for Texas once again? Or will the Shock, the number 2 seed, face number 2nd seed in the Dallas Fuel? Time will tell as we jump on to our first round.
And we're heading over to Lighthouse. This is a map that has been quite strange because some teams have preferred to play the Echo. We've had some teams who have liked to play the Doomfist prefer to play the Winston. We've seen a lot of different looks. Right now, it looks like San Francisco Shock are going to the standard Winston Soldier with the Ana composition, while the Houston Outlaws, and this is a trick that they've been playing so far in the playoffs, they put Iris on this Moira and Merit on the Reaper. What this allows them to do is just play incredibly fast, because in this composition of the Houston Outlaws, Pelican will move over to the Tracer. Who do you target? Who do you focus down? Everyone is so survivable, so it makes it hard for the San Francisco Shock to find a target.
He's got to follow up on those nades. Finn has to hit some crazy bio nades. Force Iris to use that, Iris to use the fade. Hopefully take care of the Moira. You don't want them building up their coalescence first, that is for sure.
How are the Houston Outlaws going to get on this high ground? You can see Finn and Kilo standing proudly on the high ground, going to be shooting down, having the time. Dante can get up there, but the rest of the team might struggle.
He can use the seismic slam to get on top, of course. Point unlocks. The Outlaws just rush to it. Yeah, they want to avoid the high ground and the spam as much as possible. The point's going to get taken. San Francisco Shock and get it for free. Now comes the counter-attack, though. Proper already 50% towards that pulse bomb. He has been farming right now. Dante is antied, and he should be... Yeah, he's more than fine.
This looks to be the Outlaws' strategy, but Pelican's getting rushed down by Proper, putting on great form, but Kilo goes down.
How does that end up happening? A Soldier versus a Lucio. Nice little boot kill, but Violet gets a little bit of revenge. Good sleep onto Dante to stop the aggression, but the San Francisco Shock losing a main damage dealer is a bit of a problem. But the Outlaws losing a healer, see even more so. Look at this, San Francisco Shock running forwards, nice pulse bomb, but Merrick getting away with his life. Pelican ends up falling over. Proper pulse, Finn, Nano, point. Swarmed by the Shock. Pulse bomb went a little bit wide, but Dante's still going low and he's antied. Perfect follow-up from Finn's bio grenade. Lasher had to back off too. He was also purple.
They need to fix this issue of Iris dying first. He is the Moira. He needs to find a way to stay alive. He is the primary source of healing. If he dies, the rest of the Houston Outlaws will shortly follow. They're going to play a unit. They're going to rush to the point again, leaving Finn and Kilo on the high ground, but the Nano comes out on Kalush.
Nano boost on Kalush. This is exactly where he wants the Outlaws, all on that point, so he can earn that primal in a blink of an eye. Nice response, though, from the Outlaws. They do end up using the beat, but Pelican goes down to Kilo. Iris, fade, forced. Late beat for the Shock as they now make the execution. Iris in a whole lot of trouble. Like I said, as soon as you burn that fade, Scott, it's basically all over. And a fantastically timed beat there from Violet at the very end of the team fight. So Outlaws, they have nothing left in the tank.
As much as the Houston Outlaws are getting to point and forcing it a little bit, if they don't deal with this threat from Kilo and Finn on the high ground, they are going to slowly bleed out. It's going to be hard for them to win the overall team fight. And you can see the San Francisco Shock already ticking up 50%.
Clue's got the primary. Iris already, the fade has been forced, and Lastro's on his own, can't support his Moira. Iris luckily has the coalescence and he unleashes it, but Kilo's tactical visor is going to keep Iris in check. He picks the wrong angle, trying to heal the rest of his team. Dante putting up that power block to stop the damage coming through, but it doesn't matter as soon as that fades away. So does your life. The Outlaws do end up capping, stopping a couple of percentage points for the Shock. Instantly recap.
And that's going to be the theme if they keep trying to do this. They now have the Merit Death Blossom. He can make magic work if he engages with Dante. If he can get onto the high ground, maybe punish Kilo and the Ana on the high ground. Goes a little wide. Yeah, Shock are out of tools though. They have nothing left in their arsenal. Houston Outlaws, this should be their fight to take.
Well, they've got to do something. They've got to get on the point. They do just that. One flip, another free flip. Okay. Now Merit taking the high ground. You've got to be careful if you're below them. There's one. Merit gets booped in. There's another one. Dante following up on the kill to Finn. Proper kills Pelican in the back line, but it don't matter. Shock already dead.
Shock maybe playing a little bit too slow. Giving up the point early gives the Houston Outlaws another 15% charge towards the 100%. We're going into final fight territory now. The San Francisco Shock, they're slowly just bleeding out this percentage. And now the Houston Outlaws almost about to take charge of this round.
Shock at least have this pulse coming up. They got the nano in the back pocket, and Violet with that beat. This beat has to be big. Activating lane, you should be good. Nice force of the fade by Kalush, but can they follow it up with any meaningful damage? A punch into the wall. He's trying so hard to kill Iris, but the beat is going to make it impossible. A three-man stun punch into the wall, but still no follow-up from the San Francisco Shock. The pulse bomb could be big. Proper's got to hit this. It could be all over if he doesn't. A nice stick. Dante dies. The Shock still need to touch the point as OT needs to be triggered. It was close, and because of that, Proper needed to get there, and the Outlaws knew it. They could just run down the rest of the Shock. Kilo with the visor. Iris does pop the Coalescence, and he's now trying to dodge around the pillars, and he does a good job of it. Lastro with the final kill onto Kilo. Proper causing OT, and Outlaws at the very last second are holding strong. The Shock can come back, but it's looking rather unlikely now.
The Houston Outlaws just getting control of that fight, that sustainability really keeping them through this round. Kalush, importantly, switching to the Doomfist halfway through that round in those final fights, struggling to stay alive when he doesn't have that primal rage, when he doesn't have the nano. It just feels like he's getting slowly poked down. And this is something that we've known from the Doomfist compositions so far throughout the season, is that it is very strong against the Winston. Those left-click shotguns from the Doomfist just does so much damage to the Winston. Houston Outlaws getting the first round and taking control. Interested to see if we're going to see a Widow matchup. Merit hovering it right now.
I want to see it, I really do. If you take the more aggressive angle as the Shock, just go this full dive, it can be hard for Merit to do much, but if you cap that point and give Merit all that space, it can be very tough. It's all about this first fight. Setting up Merit is key here for the Outlaws.
Kalush once again sticking onto that Doomfist, going to take the head-to-head, and instant value from Merit on the Widow.
If you're a Widowmaker and you find that first DPS pick, that's a go button. Outlaws glowing green, they know they've got to push forward. Kilo, luckily enough, is on the Soldier, so he's going to be able to get back to the point fast, but look at the space that's been garnered now by the Outlaws. Point unlocks, they should get the cap.
Big plays by Merit, making his presence known, because the San Francisco Shock, they're all going into the left, but Kilo gets him with a helix across the map.
Wow, a little bit of revenge. That's what you like to see. Dante gets put to sleep. His power block is up, but he's instantly killed off. Nice punch by Kalush there. Stops that power block from going off. Pelican takes care of Finn. So Violet's now solo healer on the point. Well, solo healer, Kilo's got that healing station down, healing up the rest of his team.
1.5. That'll do. You see the value of the Ana there from Finn against the Doomfist. If you hit that sleep, your team is able to converge around and Biotic Nade. There's almost nothing you can do at that point. Merit switching over to the Sombra. Wow, a hero that I do not like. I will just be honest, and a lot of people don't. It's hard to get value because of how much you're outside of the fight. You provide a lot of cycling, but hack onto Finn.
Nice dive, but Finn just backs away. A nice little double stun there onto Finn and Violet from Dante, but can he get much more? Nice pulse, instant punch there, stops that damage, resist from going through. The San Francisco Shock replying kind with a beat, and Kilo just gets focused. It's a nice beat by Violet, but these hacks are actually been pretty well placed. They're following up perfectly. The problem is the Shock are still in control. Lastro forced to burn this beat to try and find an inch into this fight. The San Francisco Shock have a comp that can come back so quickly. Pelican now chasing down Finn. He has the nano. They eventually kill him, but with Kilo coming back, he's able to stall for a little longer. 55% now to 20 building.
Houston Outlaws and Merit making that Sombra work. He's actually charging an EMP incredibly fast as well. He might have that one for this upcoming fight. You can understand the reasoning of the pick of the Sombra. When the Doomfist goes in, if you hack him, especially through the power block, he becomes powerless and takes so much damage. They're going to look to isolate Kalush when he goes in. There's a lot of ults on both sides. Pelican opens it up with a pulse bomb on a Kilo though.
Kalush with the nano. Can he kill Lastro? Proper helps him do it. And Violet in the back line, in fact, or in the front line, I should say. Nice little meteor strike from Dante. Kalush is in a little bit of trouble trying to kill the Doomfist, but look at this. Iris's Coalescence doing way too much work for the Shock to deal with. They need to muster something now They've got to go up against this EMP. Violet's beat has to be perfectly timed.
Finn loses the nano as he's going down, tries to throw it and actually loses it, doesn't get any value, so they might not have answers to the EMP.
Four-man EMP, nice dive from the Outlaws, the visor to stop the bleeding. And that EMP, the hack doesn't last for too long, so Kilo can almost instantly use that Violet. And now Violet with the beat. The Outlaws, they don't know what to do with themselves. You have to back off. You're up against that visor and the beat. You can't isolate Kilo and kill him. 60% now for the shot. Iris goes for the reset. They know they got maybe 1.5 fights to go now before they claim the map.
Shock bunkering down in that room when the EMP goes off allows them to sustain through and then counterpunch against the Houston Outlaws. Now they have the positioning. Cluj on the Doomfist. He has that Meteor Strike, but he's got to be careful of getting hacked and isolated so he does not go down.
Might want to use it defensively, maybe. Merit looking for the hack. He gets oh no, doesn't quite get Kilo. Kilo spotted him out, and now Merit's out of the action for just a brief moment in time. Pulse Bomb goes through from Pelican, expecting Kalush to dive on in there with a punch. The Meteor Strike to separate to both DPS and tank from the supports, but it doesn't matter. Iris kills proper as the point is attempted to getting flipped by the Outlaws. 98% now online for the shot. The nano onto Kilo. That's a lot of damage, but can he get anything done? The Outlaws are doing a good job of mitigating it, but the Helix Rockets finishes off Dante. Merit falls 2. This is it. The Shock need a recap here. The beat from Lastro, it hits 3, and Iris is close to that coalescence. Kilo ends up going down. Proper and Kalush have to get back to this point now.
You can tell the sustainability coming from Iris with the coalescence.
Yeah, the coalescence is used, it's gone. Proper takes the kill, and now a hack onto Kalush. You're done for, son. The Outlaws, they're trying to clean the Shock off of the point. Violet from the top ropes, close to getting stunned out of the beat, but he still gets it off. Proper still alive and well. He's 5% towards that pulse, but he gets hacked. He has to just stay alive for as long as possible because everybody else on his team is just falling. He's so close to getting it. Another EMP from Merit, and the Houston Outlaws wipe the Shock and take map 1.
Holy moly. That kill by Iris onto Kilo and then getting the coalescence was so clutch. We talked about it in the first round. He needs to stay alive. Putting that to another level in that round. Stays alive, stays on the point, and able to sustain the San Francisco Shock and get that final map win.
You may have not liked it, Scott, but that Sombra looked good for the Outlaws. Those EMPs, those manual hacks, looking rather clean. Do they kind of stick with this? Not sure. The Shock get their chance to choose the map coming up next. So we're going to pick something more in their wheelhouse. We're going to jump to a break. We'll see you guys after this.
Please don't let me in the
Please don't let me into my zone. I just need some time of my own. All these people trying to get a conversation. You can conversate to that tone. My gut eyes on that throne, yeah. So I'm never alone, yeah. All these people trying to box me in. I'm at my weather, it's on, yeah. Now they ask where I'm at. Making hits that line back. I'm MJ, I'm 2-3, man. I just need some time back. I'm zoned in like defense. My life gone, no recess. But I live my best one, so I got no regrets. So I'm gone. Finally back in my home. I'm working like so much, they swear I had me a clone. Can't answer my phone now, just leave it there, that tone. Ballin' can't beat me up, cause I'm back in my zone now.
A good start for the Outlaws with Doomte being the prevailing pick. I love me some Dante Doomfist. A whole lot of love for Piggy as well. Can't forget about Piggy.
I thought you were about to say Dumte for a second.
Dumte.
The Texan fans would get very upset at you.
No. I would never say that.
Dante's been very prevalent on Twitter, being like, I believe in the Doomfist pick. He thinks it's good. He doesn't believe he's being hard counted, that he's getting value, and he's proving it today.
He really is. San Francisco Shock, on the other hand, starting at a similar tempo from other games, Scott, or other series, Scott. They're down a map right now. They need to turn this up, like it's happened for the last couple of maps, couple of series in a row.
Washington Justice, a team that's already been eliminated in the Kickoff Clash. They lost the first 2 maps of that one. Against the Atlanta Reign yesterday, they also lost those first 2 maps. It's becoming a theme for the San Francisco Shock. It takes them a couple of maps to really start warming up, and it's becoming an issue. It was a close map, and we head on over to Eichenwalde. This is a map that the Houston Outlaws actually won yesterday against the Toronto Defiant on the back of phenomenal Doomfist play from Dante.
Yeah, and there's no substitutions either, so we'll be seeing the same rosters. No Piggy just yet. So Dante Doom to order of the day. The San Francisco Shock in this regard are a little bit more flexible because you know you're going to play the Doomfist. If you're against the Outlaws, they know they're going to play it. Aries hasn't had a bad game either. Colosseo has been good. It's not interrupted this time. It can be quite frustrating, especially against a Doomfist, but you don't want to open yourself up to getting punched like that, ideally, and that's all on the rest of your team, just putting pressure on Colosseo, who was playing the Doom on Ruins, and stopping him from forcing Iris using his fade, or just forcing Iris into a position where he feels like he needs to use that Coalescence.
Interestingly enough, it looks like the San Francisco Shock is going to come out on the Doomfist mirror, confident in their own play. Finn's going to start on that Ana and not the Moira, looking like the same thing for the Houston Outlaws. Merit potentially premeditating this pick as well, starting again on the Sombra. I said I didn't like it. I think it's very cyclic in a way. It feels very hard to get out damage, but if you can get values from the hack like he did on Ilios, then it can be a good pick.
Can be. The EMPs are pretty good too at setting things up. Just got to make sure the other team doesn't have any anything like a beat or an advisor, to be fair, to stop the aggression. Little jump shot from Pelican. Doesn't find anything. They didn't find anything either. But it's now about Merit setting up.
Good read by the Houston Outlaws with Merit on that Sombra. So we're going to see the head-to-head with the only differences of the Sombra and the Moira. Probably a different look of the Houston Outlaws are waiting for that go moment when the Sombra gets the hack, while the San Francisco Shock are going to play defensive with the Ana.
Oh, what a fantastic read there by the San Francisco Shock. I saw Pelican, Merit go for that hack. Oh, Dante in trouble. Has got the power-up punch. Not today. As soon as you see that Sombra, because you can hack from stealth now, UI light slightly revealed, so just an instant shot interrupting the hack, stops Finn from getting a dove on.
Great cancel onto Merit's hack. Disables essentially the engagement from the Houston Outlaws. So there's going to be two different styles to look at, even though they're playing the similar compositions. San Francisco Shock are going to be playing back, try and protect Finn, while the Houston Outlaws, they're not going to slow down. They're going to go aggressive. We're looking for another hack.
Yeah, another hack. Lands on Finn, but look at that. Healing station down already. And there's a nade straight on top. As soon as he got hacked, he needed to press that nade button. The additional healing just helps him survive. Dante charging the power block. You do not want to give the Doomfist the power up punch. Kilo takes care of Pelican, and Proper earning himself a pulse bomb in the backline, chasing down Iris. Nice, 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go. San Francisco Shock, no expending any ultimates in that fight.
As you highlighted, Jack, as soon as that Sombra hack comes through, they back off into the lodge, they drop the healing station, they drop the biotic nade, makes them almost unkillable through that. But if you're the Houston Outlaws, you're coming up on the EMP, you're coming up on the Coalescence, but the San Francisco Shock, they have ultimates of their own. They have the Nano Visor to counter any aggression the Houston Outlaws have.
Okay, setting up for another hack. He knows where Finn is, Violet is, basically knows where everybody is. Nice little telegraph. Good hack, very good hack onto Colosseo. Didn't expect that. Nano Visor from Kilo though. Beat to match. He's been hacked. Can't use those legs, but he can still shooty. Oh my word. Pulse bomb from Proper kills both Iris and Lastro. They might be able to stay alive now. Kilo fending for himself in the lodge. Healing station used. Has to back up into the high ground, but without support, the Outlaws aren't going to last long, and they're sent to the county jail.
Absolutely enormous pulse bomb, putting a stop to that aggression by the Houston Outlaws. Let's have a look at this one right here.
Just biding his time. Oh, in the corridor.
Oh, on the Coalescence.
Tragic.
Iris can't fade away from that one, and they get the finish. Houston Outlaws used everything except for the EMP, so they're going to need to rely on that one, getting into this one. The San Francisco Shock giving them a bit of space again. Merit's out, once again, cycling. He's out for about 10 seconds until he can get back in this fight.
Yeah, San Francisco Shock, unwilling to put any pedal to the metal at all. Oh, Iris again, just not having a good time. Nice use of the Meteor Strike there from Colosseo. Was a little bit scared. Proper. This is the performance you expected from this guy. Has been a bit slow to warm up.
They're looking for him. They know Pelican's behind him. They're hunting him in the basement. This is going to be...
Oh, okay, Pelican. Can Pelican get away? A nice triple blink over the side. No, it hacked health back. No, Proper finishes him off. Okay.
Look at the space it's given, though. The Houston Outlaws are already in the point, and they still have the EMP.
Pulse bomb next to Dante. Goodbye. Proper is cleaning up the Outlaws right now, and with 25 seconds to go, and Merit now not having an EMP, what do they have left for this point, for point A?
Using it, hoping it would dissuade the kill onto Dante, but it doesn't, and the Houston Outlaws haven't been able to make anything work. They haven't been able to deal with Proper, who just exists in their backline.
No one's checking him. Called the Mega Health Pack. Forcing the fade from Iris is good. Nice beat. Colosseo is hacked, but no, his ability to come instantly back, and they don't touch. The Shock with an unbelievable defense on point A. The Merit, Sombra, not getting the same value what we saw on Control.
And I think that really highlighted the weaknesses of Sombra and why people have not been pulling it out. That EMP is very valuable, the hacks are very valuable, but you have answers. The new Sombra hack doesn't last for very long, it's only about a second. So therefore, as soon as someone gets hacked, they can use their abilities to escape, and the San Francisco Shock did that beautifully. They were just able to coordinate. Anyone who got hacked came back to safety, and then the Outlaws, with a Sombra, that's not enough damage. They couldn't isolate anything. Iris on the Moira, they don't have biotic nades, they don't have sleeps. They have no answers to everything the San Francisco Shock is throwing at them, and get nothing done. A full hold on Eichenwalde, something we don't see very often.
No, not at all. See, at the very end of the fight, it's difficult too, because not only do the San Francisco Shock in that moment have the beat, they also have Kilo just running to the backline, using that speed boost from Violet, because you don't really need to heal anymore when you've used the beat, at least not for the, foreseeable couple of seconds or so. Can speed Kilo, and then the backline is history. Iris used the fade, you're done for. It's too much damage coming out from the Nano Soldier.
We're going to see Houston Outlaws go back to what they know. Merit's going to go on to the Reaper. Iris will stay on the Moira. gives them that engagement tool. Look at them to try and hunt down the backline as soon as the San Francisco Shock peek their faces around the corner. But it's a 4-minute hold. It's hard to do.
It's tough stuff, tough stuff. But the Reaper's good on this map. When the Doom goes to the engage, it's pretty easy to get a lot of damage down. Just gotta be careful not to charge up the power-up punch with a block. You should be good. Slow rotation from the Shock, though.
You can see the Shock knowing that that's what the Houston Outlaws are waiting for, trying to stay protected. They're moving into the glass room.
Oh dear.
Houston Outlaws started back up. They need to be careful of the biotic nades from Finn.
Needs to be careful of Propo, who's on the flank. Nice forcing of the recall there by Pelican. Everybody's in that small room. They take care of Merit already. Dante is dead. This isn't a good look from the Outlaws at all. Lastro in the small corridor, staying alive, keeping his team healthy. Kills Violet. Lastro actually coming up clutch for the Outlaws at the very end. It's almost a tick completed. You saw that Proper all the time, like all that whole time. He's just pressuring the point, pressuring the back line, making sure Outlaws not only have to look forward, but behind them.
And Prophet's just going to do that. He's going to continue to just exist in the backline. He has a pulse bomb coming up soon. He can finish the map with just one quality one there. San Francisco Shock stepping up once again.
Nice leap onto Dante. Can Proper earn a pulse bomb before anything happens? Dante is purple, no power block in sight. Someone needs to save him. It's not quite quick enough. Proper has the pulse. Outlaws have already lost 3. It's as good as over. A nice stick onto Iris. A recall onto the point, and the San Francisco Shock secure that 33%. They take map number 2 and tie this series up. A slow start for the Shock over the last couple of series, but they're coming alive way sooner than what we normally see.
We questioned whether or not Kaluj would want to pull out that Mirror Doomfist, and San Francisco Shock proving very proficient at this composition. If you're the Houston Outlaws, do you go back to the Mirror, put Merit onto that Soldier, or are you confident in this Moira Reaper rush? Maybe, but that did not work on this map.
It was just map diff, not sure. Maybe that was Jake's secret sauce that we haven't seen a whole bunch of yet. Like, I'm not entirely certain. We're going to jump to a break. It's now Outlaws' turn to choose the map. We'll see in a sec.
2019 Overwatch League champions! Whoever said lightning doesn't strike twice has never met the San Francisco Shock!
Some of the most hardcore carry performances that I've ever seen.
Just a depth of talent on their roster that can't be denied.
I mean, what more can you ask from the Shock? This is going to be a wild ride.
Violet is cracked. He's out of his mind. I say that justice. Okay.
Face with everything right now.
Jesus Christ, dude. Sam is deadlifting right now, actually. Finish is doing so much. Cleans it up like DPS and Yada.
San Francisco has cemented themselves as the greatest team in Overwatch.
What's better than hitting a huge Primal Rage? Well, doing it in style. Tune in and watch 5 hours of the Kickoff Clash this weekend to claim your very own Overwatch League Winston home and away skins. Looking pretty snazzy out there and ranked. It's going to be a good time. All right, Scott. Map number 3. Houston Outlaws. They took control. Shock social media. Post the meme, please. Thank you. Map number 2 was the Shocks in quite dominating fashion, mind you. Eichenwalde was held by them and then just swiftly took that 33%. We go on to Route 66 as our next map, a map we've not actually seen so far in the tournament.
That's usually because teams prioritize playing that dive on Dorado, on Watchpoint Gibraltar. While if you're the Houston Outlaws, they don't have a Winston player. They haven't shown a willingness to put Piggy on that hero. So Route 66 is really the least bad option if you're the Houston Outlaws. So I wouldn't be surprised if they put a lot of work and time into this map. I'm curious to see what they're going to pull out because, as you said, Jack, we have not seen this map so far in the tournament.
Well, we know what the Outlaws are going to play. It's the Doomfist. It's whether Merit actually flexes off this Sombra, because he did try a little bit of both. It was defensive Sombra, and then he went for the Reaper as well. Sorry, defensive Reaper and an aggressive Sombra, the attacking Sombra. And it works on control. You don't get a whole lot of space, to be fair, when you attack just the singular point of Eichenwalde, so it's difficult for Merit to find these off angles to hack the supports, even hack Kalush. He had that one good hack on Kalush's Doomfist. They followed up with a kill, but then it's Proper just doing proper things, getting a double pulse bomb, and yeah, you can't really account for that, to be honest.
Well, you should. If you're not accounting for Proper to be in your backline and just do that much work, then you're not thinking hard enough, because Proper actually, fun fact, did not die in the last map. He was just existing in the backline, and when they're not playing that Ana or anything that really has that high damage output, there's nothing to really punish Proper. Going into this map, though, it looks like we're going to see some Widowmaker, interestingly enough, for Merit. Curious to see if Proper will walk out of spawn on this Widow. I doubt it. If they were going to play the Widowmaker, they usually go towards Kilo on that one. But I could... No, I'm right. Kilo goes over to the Soldier, Proper over to the Tracer. They're going to play the Doomfist dive, while the Houston Outlaws sticking with Iris on that Moira. But Merit on the Widow is another look.
It is another look. Okay. Proper's trying to find him. There you go. Okay, using the ping system. Excellent stuff. Good advertising. San Francisco Shock, they're going to have a tough time actually getting to the Widow. They have to just rely on Proper really to distract Merit for long enough. Oh, nice couple of just SMG headshots. Bit of dishonest play, but ooh, yeah, no recall, no problem. Kalush, however, taking out Dante, spawns are way closer for the Shock, so the Outlaws now have to be careful.
You can see the adjustment by the Houston Outlaws. Lastro marking Proper, not allowing him to just get into the backline and live for free. Merit being able to shoot freely now that Proper is down, but the San Francisco Shock with that pick onto Dante, being able to get the first half of the first point.
You can say it either way, Doomte.
Doomte, yeah.
Doomte, that's fine.
It's in my brain.
Man, Merit's having a tough time getting anything done right now. In fact, just a double punch there from Kalush. Power block up. Don't want to charge that power up, though. Straight to the backline again. Merit having a tough time. Look, he's trying to get angles, but Kalush just chased him that in, like, around the entire point. Like, what do you do if you're Merit right there? It feels like right now he needs to switch. There's no space granted by the Outlaws to give Merit a few sightlines.
And that's the problem with playing the defensive Widowmaker, is if they go fast like the San Francisco Shock are, it becomes impossible to freely shoot. And you see that Merit switches over to the Reaper. They're going back to the setup that we had in Eichenwalde.
Okay, the cart has not been pushed that far, luckily, for the Outlaws, and they can attempt to go in with a Coalescence. The punch has already been used by Collusion. In fact, he's using a Meteor Strike to get away. Nano boost onto Kilo, no visor, but not normally a problem for Kilo. And now with the Outlaws on the high ground, he's very willing to just run them down. He's got a beat at his back, and Merit bites the dust. The San Francisco Shock keeping the payload going. No way Lashro used this beat to keep them in this fight. It's more than lost for them right now. The Shock with a beat and a nano, and a visor, and a pulse, and a meteor strike to get point A.
Sometimes just walking in and pressing Q is the best course of action. Using all those ultimates to get that first point is not the worst thing in the world. Outlaws weren't able to keep up pace with Merits having to switch heroes and Lastro not at that beat yet, and they lose the first point in a pretty quick time. So the Houston Outlaws back on that Reaper Moira composition. We've talked about it. They need to find a way to isolate the San Francisco Shock backline because they don't have the same level of damage and pick potential with biotic nades, but there's a pulse bomb from Pelican to bust it wide open.
There's the pick that you wanted? Yeah, okay. That's a good start. Wait for those doors to close too. Pretty easy to hang around here with the Doom Fist. A massive wall can be a little backboard for the punch. All right, let's see what Shock want to do next. They've got, well, kind of got Pulse coming up. Proper charges it incredibly quickly there.
They still have the Lastro sound barrier as well, so you can see the Houston Outlaws having the confidence in that ultimate. Playing aggressive. Proper down again. Definitely dealing with him better than they have in previous maps.
Oh, yeah. Just containing Proper, that's what you need to do. Easier said than done, but Lastro finding that nice final blow. It's going to hinder the Shock's approach. They're taking low ground now.
3 minutes remaining. This is a hard hole to get to. Dante gets slept. This is going to give them so much space.
Nice nade. Perfectly timed beat from Lastro. He's had that since point A. Edge going to surge on forwards. Merritt doing a fair bit of damage, but somehow the San Francisco Shock still surviving. A nano onto Kilo to stop him from dying. And Iris, once again, getting his coalescence interrupted. The San Francisco Shock getting that payload going.
Kaluge on the Doom Fist, making waves, coming into the backline. Iris pops that coalescence, and Kaluge just runs him down, hits him with the punch, canceling it, and then the Houston Outlaws don't have the legs to finish out the fight. And now the San Francisco Shock are rolling, and they're also coming up to a good set of ultimates. Kilo with the visor is going to make it very difficult for the Houston Outlaws to close the distance.
Dante's got that power-up punch. You've got to be careful. Dodging around the payload. He's still taking a fair bit of damage. Pulse bomb for Proper. Kilo with the visor, but he's stuck. Pelican hits an amazing stick. Can they follow up with more? Looks like they can with Finn dying. Proper gets revenge, killing Dante, but the San Francisco Shock losing their main healer. They're going to have to back up. There's no way they can sustain. Not against Merritt and Iris still being alive.
Pelican coming up clutch for the Houston Outlaws again. I feel like you could just say again and again and again, watching him play, gets that so important stick onto Kilo. But now we go into the next fight. Kaluge has that meteor strike. He's probably going to go deep, maybe entering into this room.
Please don't shoot the Dante power block. You don't want to give him that power up punch.
There he goes.
Engagement from Kaluge. Proper actually forced a recall. May think twice if he wants to use that pulse bomb. Pelican is lying in wait. You can see it in his eyes. He knows he could potentially get the stick on Pelican, but Pelican with the recall will just drop that straight to the ground. Still moving the payload though. Good bit of aggression from the San Francisco Shock. Pelican throwing out the pulse, goes wide. And Finn coming up to a nano. Proper kills Iris again. Lastro with the beat to sustain through all of this damage. Merrick doesn't receive the over shield, so has to back off. The San Francisco Shock are going to win this fight right here, right now with a Bionade. But Merritt comes up big, actually with a Death Blossom. He does kill two, but Finn was off to the sidelines, didn't get any damage from that Death Blossom, so is able to just sit on the high ground, hold on to the nano, and keep his DPS and tanks alive.
Are the Outlaws going to go for this? They have the coalescence coming up soon. It's getting close. They are going to contest. Dante's holding down the cart. He's got the power block going.
Iris with that coalescence. If he gets this interrupted, it could be done. Nano onto Kaluge. Everybody's in that tight corridor. You're going to have to dodge it somehow, some way. Not going to be possible, though. Kaluge going crazy in the back line. Proper finishing that one up through. Team kill for the San Francisco Shock as they claim point B.
Maybe a greedy re-engage from the Houston Outlaws. It could have gone their way with that Iris coalescence, but it does not go their way this time. So they do not have that one for the third point. But there is only 90 seconds remaining for the San Francisco Shock to push it through this whole third point. And the Houston Outlaws actually blinking. Merritt switches over to the Soldier. He doesn't want to be on that Reaper anymore. He's just getting punished from too far away. Iris also moving over to the Ana.
Tactical visor from Kilo, just get him on the high ground. You should be good. There he is, just chilling. Visor activated. Lastro thinks twice about actually trying to engage on that. Oh, riding on the truck, not where you want to be, and Proper chasing down Pelican. Proper just forcing Pelican to a situation where he dies to Proper or he dies to Kilo's visor. Now they're taking control of the truck. Outlaws forced all the way back to spawn to try and hunker down, get reinforcements and go again.
It's going to be so hard to dislodge the San Francisco Shock team from the high ground. The Houston Outlaws are going to be walking. We have a biotic nade onto Merit, so he's not going to be able to approach.
Proper with the pulse, looking at Lastro, who can just play this one rather safely, so chooses. He does. Recalls all the way back to the point. Lastro, again, quite unlucky with the way he's been positioning. A nice little dodge there from Proper. Dodges away out of Iris's range, stops him from going down, and Dante with a little stall on the seismic slam just ends in his demise. The San Francisco Shock have lost both supports, so they're forced to back away. The Outlaws are gaining control once again, but they've got 20 seconds before the Shock run out of time.
We're in last fight territory. Ultimate's coming up for the Shock. They have the beat. I wouldn't be surprised to see them, as soon as Merit pops this visor, they're going to pop that sound barrier and they're going to run him down. Aggression has to be key for the Shock going into final fight territory.
Beat for Violet. Lastro's closing in on his. A nice nade. Forces Dante and Merit to back away, but Colosseo suffering the same. But this beat from the Shock is good. Lastro matches in kind and helps Merit get into a position where he can do damage with that visor. But it's going to be all on Proper's pulse bomb here. If he attaches it to a support, it might just be over. There's a lot of people lining up, but he manages to throw it on the ground, not picking up a kill just yet. And Iris applying that nano boost to Merit, who's got a high ground advantage. The Shock, the health bars reduced to 0. The Outlaws are going to make their stand on that final point.
Lastro been getting picked a few times in that round, but comes in with a clutch sound barrier to counter that aggression by the San Francisco Shock, and they hold on the third point. The win condition finally there for the Houston Outlaws. Not a bad defense, but now they need to be able to prove to be able to do it on offense. That's where they struggled on Eichenwalde, especially if they want to lean back onto that Merit Reaper. It was just so hard to get anything done, or the Merit Sombra at that point. I would like to see Houston Outlaws go back to the tried and true Soldier Ana like they have played in the past, because they are good at it. Iris is a great Ana, Merit is a great Soldier, and I feel like the Reaper Moira was built to counter compositions, to counter the Doomfist. So it feels like they're countering themselves. We're like 9 levels deep at this point, or at least I am.
Are they going that? Does Jake play 9D chess? Not sure. His brain's big enough to do that.
It is a very big brain, but
smart lad.
Houston Outlaws right now showing off that they want to put Iris back onto that Moira. Merit on the Hanzo would be an interesting change. Merit's just playing mystery heroes at this point.
Okay. I don't know if they're going to see that. Maybe just a Sonic Arrow just to sniff out any,
you're probably right,
like close defense. Seems so.
It's very,
gets a wild headshot.
It's very impressive right now for me, the San Francisco Shock, having this look of Colosseo on the Doomfist, because it's something we haven't seen much of them so far this season. And if they have that in their arsenal going forward into these future matches, if they win this match, then it's going to be important. Houston Outlaws committing to the Moira Reaper once again.
Okay, the Shock playing all the way back. They don't want to engage on this on the forward hold. They're just happy to engage on the corner.
Pelican getting very, very low. San Francisco Shock willing to give up the front half of this point because they want to set up on the high ground with the Ana and the Soldier once again, getting that first pick onto Dante. It is going to be very difficult for Dante to get any positioning on this point.
Proper and Pelicans ult generation right now, kind of nuts. 60% for Proper, 50% for Pelican.
You can see the Outlaws trying to get positioning underneath the high ground in the gas station right now. They can keep pushing the card, and San Francisco Shock don't have any angles. Finn's probably looking for a biotic nade, get that big purple, and then that's go time for the San Francisco Shock.
Yeah, really nice. You can see Colosseo though. He is currently contesting the payload. Oh, Kilo on the sign. Kilo on the sign. Kilo on the sign. Lastro super low. Oh my god. How is he alive? Okay, Kilo just lost him completely. Nice pulse bomb. Kilo just standing out of range, and Proper takes care of Pelican. Okay, good start and a nice sleep onto Dante. Stops that power block from going off. The sleep goes right through it. And it's an easy clean-up kill after that. Clean-up kills, I should say. The Shock. They do something quite tricky against the Outlaws there. You saw Colosseo the whole time just peeking his head over the side, contesting that payload.
And that's a hard thing for the Houston Outlaws to deal with. They don't have that range damage. They don't have that poke, so Colosseo has freedom to just sort of stand on that high ground. And now we have every single ultimate up for the San Francisco Shock to hold. Iris has that coalescence. They're going to need to force this engagement, but need to keep an eye on the Kilo Nano Visor.
Proper's locked in. Pulse bomb in the gas station might be quite deadly. There's a coalescence though from Iris. Does manage to take out Finn. A beat was a little bit too late from Violet there. They haven't got a nano to work with, but Kilo's still going to go for the ult, and it was a massive mistake as Dante was there to clean him up. The Houston Outlaws, they're staying alive in this fight. Iris gets stunned, but it doesn't matter. Pelican's alive. That Finn kill was so crucial for the Outlaws there, and Kilo went for a desperation, just normal visor.
Great play by the Houston Outlaws, finding that Finn has isolated himself on the high ground. Are the San Francisco Shock really going to try and recontest this? It's getting close.
Onto Kilo. He's getting pretty low. Colosseo was the one to touch, and Lastro stepped a little bit too far up. A Meteor Strike to try and separate the team, but Kilo is more than happy just to laser Dante down on this low ground. Dante is completely out of the fight. He's way too low to go for this engagement, waiting for the heals from Iris and Lastro to get back in. But Finn with a kill onto Iris makes sure Outlaws have to go again. Nice re-engage from the Shock there, using that nano onto Kilo to keep him alive as they go through that choke.
Great coordination. Proper comes in through the lower tunnel so he can contest the point at the last second, but the rest of San Francisco Shock walking in with the nanos. The time though, 38 seconds. The Houston Outlaws are close to being full held once again.
Pelican's pulse one has to be big, but he's gonna have to make it bigger than Propa's right now. Oh, very early recall. Wasn't receiving any healing. He was LOS, out of LOS. Now Pelican trying to make some moves. Dante 2, again, another very early recall. Doesn't want to play this too dangerously. Maybe just touching the payload will force the Shock to do something. Merit with a big Death Blossom sped along, kills Propa somehow. Not a kill you normally see. The Tracer can normally recall, but Propa not quite so lucky. And now Colosseo isolated. Dante takes his chance. Colosseo left out to dry. He had the Meteor Strike, and Kilo once again popping the visor, but can he do much? I don't think so. Violet had to go for the touch. And the Houston Outlaws made it work. Okay, point A is theirs.
Outlaws finding that so important pick onto Propa there. And the San Francisco Shock, Kilo getting a little desperate, thinking that they can still hold on to it. But 2 minutes remaining for the Outlaws. It took them very long at the first point, so they're not having many opportunities to push through. Iris with this coalescence. We saw them isolate Finn last time they had it. Need to do it again.
Ideal opportunity now, just wait for Lastro to get that beat. Oh, pulse one from Propa. Doesn't find much, but finds Pelican in fact. Both Tracers now dead, 4v4. 2 support ultimates in hand for the Outlaws. San Francisco Shock have a good sightline onto the payload though. Scott, Finn doing a little bit of damage and healing, gets that nano.
It's so difficult for them to get onto this high ground to dislodge the Soldier and the Ana. Dante's going.
Oh, he's going, almost gone. Fade already been used, and now Iris going to the high ground, and Lastro Ajaxes! They got the coalescence to back them up, and Finn is dead, so the Shock responding kind with the beats. Can they get much damage done? Kilo still not hindered on the high ground. He eventually drops to try and touch the payload, but Merit cleans him up. Proper is back from the dead, but with no healers, he's going to have to let the Outlaws push this payload along just a little bit, waiting for those reinforcements to come in.
Outlaws making the best of a bad situation, still managed to stay in the fight, but the San Francisco Shock are coming back. Kilo's finally coming back to that visor. Pelican's going to be looking for him with that pulse bomb. 45 seconds, we're getting close to last fight territory if the Houston Outlaws don't speed this up.
They need to clutch up once again. Nice seismic slam into the punch, but Merit once more. This is exactly the same thing that happened on point A. Merit comes up big with a Death Blossom kill onto a DPS, and then the rest of the team capitalize on it. The Houston Outlaws still with a pulse in hand. But the Shock, they've done it once, they could do it again. They can go for the recontest.
If they can get into this fight, the visor from Kilo could come up enormous, but it's almost impossible to get through this choke. This seems like a bad idea by the Shock.
They're going to contest. Pulse one from Pelican goes wide, has to use a blink to dodge out of it so he doesn't die. Kilo now on the high ground where he loves to be. Nice pulse one from Propa. Outlaws
Their final seconds are here. They need to come up big. Lastro and Pelican are dead. OT here. Merit pops the rate to get out of that purple. But the Shock have the kills. They have the damage. They have the health. And they have the map. OT ticking through. And the Shock are on match point.
San Francisco Shock proving me wrong. It felt like the Houston Outlaws just left the door open. The Shock able to funnel through that doorway, and once they're into the fight, they had the ultimates to get through. Great play by the San Francisco Shock. I can start to see and understand the Merit Reaper, how it provides value. You saw the Death Blossoms coming up clutch time and time again. But in the neutral, it just doesn't feel like he offers enough in comparison to the Kilo Soldier. He's just not enough damage, and Dante's just unable to do anything.
It's time. It's time. The reverse sweep, well, kind of. Outlaws just need a match back. Okay, there's too many reverse sweeps this weekend, I'm going to be real. And in fact, this league, this year to begin with. 2-1 to the San Francisco Shock. Let's jump to a break. It's Outlaws' time to choose a map. We'll see in a bit.
Violet, he tweeted a picture of himself with like those Terminator eyes that said, I have to win, 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 I have to win. Violet can do it all, and so far he's showing up on those quote-unquote main support roles.
You can just put him wherever you want.
And the back. Violet is cracked. He's out of his mind.
The best in the world.
I mean, this guy is an absolute Zenyatta warlord.
Jack of all trades, master of all trades. It's Violet.
There's nobody who's on Violet's level.
None of them are remotely as psycho as Violet is.
Violet does what Violet does.
Violet's on the Echo. All right, why not?
Ooh. Violet the Daredevil, the evil Knievel of Overwatch. He's a god!
Yeah.
Violet is actually a god!
Crazy.
Violet and the Shock. They're one map away from knocking out the Houston Outlaws in front of a Texan crowd, Scott. They're ready to rock and roll. That's Route 66 game. Tough, tough stuff. They stopped the Outlaws just before that second point.
The Houston Outlaws really leaning heavily onto that Dante Doomfist with that Merit Reaper, and it hasn't played off of them so far in this series. The San Francisco Shock showing that they can mirror it. But we're going on to a new map, Colosseo, and your boy Piggy's coming in. Shades of Xayah, I would expect. They have been very, very good so far on that composition when they've had the space to play it.
Maybe a little bit of Hanzo as well. Zarya Hanzo has been quite popular over the last couple of days.
Yeah, it's something that we've seen from a lot of different teams. San Francisco Shock have not been playing a lot of that Xayah themselves. I'm curious to see if they're going to pull that out in this series. We know they can. Kaluj is such a flexible tank, and it could be done. But the Houston Outlaws, with their backs against the wall, putting their faith into Piggy and Pelican once again. We saw a ridiculous play by him on the Hanzo yesterday to clutch it out. Can he do it again?
If you want to go to any map, really, it's going to be this one, right? That unreal OT fight from Pelican on the Hanzo. You've got to feel it. You've got to feel it in your bones, right? Like, I feel so, you'd feel so confident after that, right? On that map, you're like, okay, Colosseo, yeah, I know my stuff on this map. I'm going to play Hanzo. I'd be very surprised if they played anything else. Is what the Shock want to kind of counter that with. Oh, unlucky. We won't get to do it just yet.
See if I get yelled at again for this one, as we get a pause coming in. If Pelican does it again, are we going to call it Pelican CO or something like that? Do we have to rename the map after him, like we did with Liege Gun Tower?
How would you... Colosseo, Pelican, Palacio.
We'll get a thought experiment going there. We'll start deciding. But yeah, it's the Houston Outlaws have very heavily leaned onto Dante on that Doomfist, but they have started towards the end of the kickoff clash, putting Piggy onto this Xayah, playing that kind of Dallas Fuel style. They haven't had the same level of success as we've seen from the Dallas Fuel. They definitely preferred to play that Doomfist. While the San Francisco Shock, at least at this point, we haven't really seen that look. They've very heavily leaned on the dive of Kaluj and just outskilling and outmatching people. And that's not hard to do when you have a player like Proper on your team who just seems to always get so much work done.
Yeah, his KDA currently in this series is astronomical. His 20 final blows last map alone. So same kind of stuff we want to see. Oh, Proper. No. No.
Do it, you coward. Oh? No.
Ain't happening. Not yet. Not yet.
One of these days we'll see someone pick up the Sojourn. We have differences in the compositions though here. Piggy playing the Xayah, Kaluj on the Doomfist, but Pelican on that Hanzo once again. Proper on that Tracer, going to try and find those flanks, be pesky in the backline like he has been so far in this series.
A little bit slower from the Outlaws. Just want to wait for Pelican to find a pick. Shock want to wait for their cooldowns to come up and then dive on in.
You can tell Lastro, he's hunting Proper, not allowing him to move around the map. Piggy stepping up onto the card, trying to get some of that energy.
Remember the Storm Arrow can ricochet too, so you might find a nice couple of hits with that and finish someone off. But look at this. There's the engagement from the Shock. Pelican holding a nice little off angle, can climb. Ooh, almost failed the climb. He's good. No one was chasing him, luckily enough. And Violet and Kilo end up going down. This slow, methodical play style of the Outlaws. Okay, it's working out right now.
by playing this Hanzo and the Xayah composition, it puts a timer on the San Francisco Shock. They have to go at some moment with the Doomfist, with the Tracer, because there's just not enough damage. So the Outlaws, they're going to be playing a defensive style, waiting for Colosseo to come in.
Promise close that Pulse Bomb already, though. Pelican hasn't hit too many arrows, quite low in the ultimate charge bank.
But the threat of the Hanzo is sometimes just good enough. If you just wait too long, the Hanzo will eventually hit a shot, especially someone like Pelican. You can see, look at how defensive the Houston Outlaws are playing as the San Francisco Shock try and find purchase. Pelican gets bioignited. Popper's trying to get him isolated.
Really heads up play there. Oh, Pulse Bomb right next to Piggy. Nice. Just woke up in time. Proper still in the back line, causing a ruckus. Beat, actually, to counter that Bionade. Hit Merit, Iris, and Lastro. But, oh, Proper stealing the payload, stealing the bot. They may have won that little battle there, that skirmish with Colosseo, but Proper was fairly annoying.
Befriending TS1, getting him to come along, mitigating the success of that Houston Outlaws teamfight win. But now we're starting to get ultimates coming online. They have the Nano Visor for the Houston Outlaws. When they go aggressive, they'll be able to pop that one. Violet's going to need a good sound barrier. He can't drop the beat and mess it up.
Merit got bubble just in time, and a nice nano, but San Francisco Shock have the B, so Merit has to play rather safe. He can't quite chunk through everybody where that overhealth is present. He's 40 HP with a visor, but he's trapped in a corner. And the San Francisco Shock put him in a box and send him back home. They only used that Meteor Strike and the beat in that fight. They got Nano Visor up next, but look at what Outlaws have garnered. They got the Grab Dragons.
And how do you deal with this if you're the San Francisco Shock? You just need to mitigate the number of people that are going to be in this Graviton Surge because they don't have a beat. They don't have an immortality field. Someone's gonna fall to this Graviton. You need to try and find value elsewhere in the fight.
There's the visor. No nano, though. Merit shooting a wall. Classic. Graviton Surge has been used. Dragons on top. There's a lot of people in trouble. Violet, more so than anybody else. Rather squishy on the Lucio, of course. Even if you have amped healing. Oh, what a humongous sleep dart from Finn. Stops Pelican from running away with the game. It was a 1v1 turned into a 2v1. Proper laid the Pulse Bomb right on top of his head. Cleans up the rest of the Outlaws there, even after they used their Grab Dragons.
Violet presents himself as tribute to that Graviton Dragon, falls, but as I said, San Francisco Shock fighting elsewhere, managed to get a ton of value. Pelican moving over to the Reaper, unable to find value with that Hanzo. Iris is down already early.
What an unbelievable engage from Colosseo. They do clean him up, but killing Iris like that, not too bad. Spawns are so close for the Outlaws, and the effective range of the Ana is going to be quite close. And, okay, Piggy now...
They just don't have the healing. With Iris going down, they don't have the healing to sustain through the damage of the San Francisco Shock, but they're slowly finding picks, and with the spawn advantage, they should be able to get control of this bot.
Lucio Soldier versus Lucio Soldier there for a brief moment. Violet dies. He got booped away by Lastro. Okay, TS1 now in control of the Outlaws.
San Francisco Shock take the lead by 20 meters. They're in the advantage, and you can tell Colosseo trying to hold as much space as he can. They have the ability to dictate the dive. Once again, they need to go in. They need to try and find and isolate Iris, but Lastro has that sound barrier. As soon as the Shock go aggressive, I expect to see the sound barrier.
Nice bubble onto Pelican as he teleports to the high ground. Okay, the robot's now moving that wall forwards. Violet building up towards his beat. Maybe the San Francisco Shock back off just a little bit. Wait for Violet to get that online. He's got it now. Meteor Strike used. Violet primed and ready with that beat. If anybody falls low. Proper once again moving that payload all the way back. The Outlaws are going to have to do something like about this. They're trapped in this small corridor right now.
Lastro with those hands of steel, still holding onto that sound barrier. They can keep playing aggressive, keep moving the bot forward. Trying to find the pick. Pelican's going in with the nano.
Pelican, nano, but instantly slept by Finn again. Straight to the back. Proper's not there to clean it up this time, but I think they're going to be more than happy with that. Pulse Bomb onto Lastro, but a perfectly timed beat to make sure he survives. A nano onto Kilo. He's in the back line. 2 kills for the Nano Visor. Make that a third. Kilo cleaning up the San Francisco Shock. They held on to that position for so long and made up so many ultimates and just bowed their time. There was nothing the Outlaws could do. It was so tough for them to move into that position because Kilo was on the high ground.
Kilo and Finn being able to stay on that high ground. San Francisco Shock are actually happy, just sitting back, waiting for it. The Houston Outlaws get a little aggressive and Kilo punishes them. Piggy's coming up to another Graviton Surge. He needs to get more value than he did last time, but the San Francisco Shock, they're actually happy with keeping their advantage. They don't want to walk into this trap from Piggy with the Graviton Surge and just happy to concede space.
No, Piggy's getting zero energy. And
how does that happen? How does Violet get Merit?
Wow.
Merit getting caught, that's going to be a free team fight win, but Piggy's going to try and turn it around.
Yeah, he is. He's going to try, but he's okay. Almost failed. Kilo took so much punishment there in the grab, the healing station, the nades, everything. Almost saved him, but it gave enough time to Kalush to take care of the backline. Pelican antied, and now Kalush in a 1v1. Violet finishing off Piggy, and the Shock still moving that payload. The Outlaws can't really find an avenue right now, Scott, to attack.
It feels like they just don't have enough. They're stuck between two stones of wanting to go in with Pelican on that Reaper, but play back with Merit on that Soldier. So they can't really do either of those. San Francisco Shock playing flawlessly, dealing with that Graviton Surge. Pelican with the Death Blossom, gonna try and get into the backline of the San Francisco Shock and get a punish. Violet's in trouble though. Wow.
Okay, Violet almost went down. Teleport to the back. Bubble on top. Finn, he's got the sleep dart and is ready. Oh no, not quite quick enough. The Death Blossom wasn't even needed. Finn was already dead, but it at least secures the kill. Kalush falls and the Shock, yeah, they're just dying on the payload. And the Outlaws once again gain control, but Scott, they got 35 seconds to gain 20 meters. And the Shock are going to have a big fight coming up next.
Nano Visor versus Nano Visor. We've seen this tale so many times in the Kickoff Clash. Generally, the person who goes first gets the advantage. Are the San Francisco Shock going to play aggressive, or are they going to stay defensive like they have so much in this map already?
Shock up high ground control. Proper. Ready with the pulse bomb. Outlaws need something special. Overtime's here in a couple of seconds. Nano Visor versus Nano Visor. Kilo versus Merit. Who gets the better of the positioning?
He's hunting. He wants to find a pulse bomb onto this backline.
They're ready to rock and roll. You can see Iris just placing his crosshair straight over Merit. They're ready to go with this Nano Visor, waiting for Kilo to maybe pop it first. Nano Visors for both teams. Kilo in the backline already killing Iris, but no, Kilo shut down. Merit kills Violet off the back end of that too. They're playing so far back. Shock had to overextend. Overtime is here and the Outlaws are pushing.
The Houston Outlaws, they're pushing it in. We're in overtime right now. They only have 10 meters to go. They are likely to get this advantage. Are the San Francisco Shock going to try and get greedy and hold this cap right here, or are they going to try and have the overtime? They're going in early.
They need to contest. Proper has the pulse bomb. They're jumping down on the low ground, and Finn in the 1v1 just takes care of Merit. He does die, but Proper with a big stick. Absorbed into Piggy's bubble, but Piggy has a grab. He's so close to using it. He gets one, but Kalush with the defensive ult manages to kill off Piggy. The defensive spawns from Shock are so good, Scott, but Lastro with the beat might be able to see them through. 1 more meter to go.
The Shock have to stay on the card. They cannot get off of this, otherwise the Houston Outlaws will win.
Violet's dead, 3% towards the beat. That was the tool they needed, but Finn comes back with more vengeance. Pelican falls, and Proper staying alive on this point. The healing station is going to be good. And the San Francisco Shock trying to make their stand, but Lastro says no.
Violet with the beat is going to be important right here. He needs to get back to the point and drop it.
He's got it. He hits 3. Kilo, Kalush, they're going to be good for the time being. And Kalush with the power-up punch does get stunned. He's in the back line. A massive seismic slam, but Finn still managing to find the kills. Overtime ticking down. Pelican's going to come back with the blossom. He gets absolutely nobody. As Proper still cleaning up. There's 1, there's 2. Make that a 3rd. Overtime disappearing, and the Shock eliminate Outlaws.
The composure from the San Francisco Shock. They get onto the point, stay alive for just long enough, and hold the Houston Outlaws with 1 meter remaining. You can see the shock on the Shock's face. That is the moment where your blood is pumping, and they managed to get through.
The Outlaws defeated. The Shock advance. Their next opponent, the Dallas Fuel. It's going to be a tough day, but they are warmed up. What a fantastic win from the Shock, a team that started quite slow in the battle for Texas. That won't happen anymore, unfortunately. In the Kickoff Clash. They've losing a couple of maps every series to start them off, and then they eventually got primed and ready. A very different tale here.
You can't be upset if you're the Houston Outlaws. You've had a good run. Having to meet the San Francisco Shock in the lower bracket, that's always going to be difficult. They pushed them to the edge. They were so close to closing out that map, but it is just not enough. And unfortunately, their kickoff clash ends there. But if you're the San Francisco Shock, you're not done for the day. You have to face the Dallas Fuel later in the day, and they're going to have to reset because they did falter from time to time. They need to come in strong because this is not the Dallas Fuel that has been struggling. This is a new Dallas Fuel showing up today.
Can the San Francisco Shock do it? They were #1 seed, undefeated coming in against the #2 seed in the Dallas Fuel. The Gladiators still in the bracket too. Like, this is a unbelievably stacked last couple of days.
Whoever wins that one as well is going to have to move on to the grand final. We love collegiate Overwatch here. An absolute banger of a match by these two teams, but it only just begins here. We got more coming up today.
We do indeed. With them winning, hey, they did get knocked down to the lower bracket, but they're still raring to go. Time to prepare for their next match. We have Danny down on the floor, though, with Colosseo for some final words.
Thanks, guys. Yes, I am here with a scary tank player, Colosseo from San Francisco Shock.
What's up?
All right, we got to talk about that last fight. That was some crazy Overwatch. What was going through your head when that whole thing was going on?
Just don't see 9. I was freaking out about who's going to touch. Proper stayed alive for the longest I think I've ever seen someone stay alive, like an OT fight. That guy is insane at the game, so.
I think you're insane at the game too, right, guys?
I'm all right.
You're all right. I mean, and also we have to talk about your Doomfist as well. It's something that I don't think a lot of us, or we haven't really seen San Francisco Shock use. You guys were mainly a more Winston dive heavy team, but then today you guys rolled out with the Doomfist, and you guys were looking really nice. Was that sort of your secret weapon, or was that something that you came up for the Kickoff Clash?
Well, I was just bad at Doom for like months, and then the week before I started to get good, and then today Krusty was like, "Oh, you're just gonna play Doom everywhere." I was like, "All right, whatever, man. I'll lock it and do good on it."
And then just you're bad at it, and then all of a sudden you're just like, "All right, I'm good."
He just threw me in and told me to swim, pretty much.
And it worked out. All right, and of course we have to talk about your next match. I mean, not this one, but later on, you guys are gonna go up against the Dallas Fuel. And Edison said, you know, he didn't really care who he played because they were sure that they were going to win. What are your thoughts?
I mean, they're a really strong team, the Zarya Reaper comp. I feel like we can play around it. We know how to play against it. As long as we stick to our game plan, I think we'll be able to beat them. All
right, guys. That is it for Colosseo. Colosseo, thank you so much for your time. Casters, back to you guys.
Peace.
Cheers, Danny. Yeah, Edison said he didn't care at all who he faced. Now he knows their opposition, and both teams warmed up already, played a match. Both of them played a match already today, so maybe an upward tilt battle for the San Francisco Shock, but they've seemed revitalized, like brand new. You don't go 2 maps down anymore. You only go 1 map down at the very beginning of the series, and then you come back.
Let's hope in the Dallas Fuel match they go no maps down at the beginning of the series. Very humble performance from Colosseo. Phenomenal on that Doomfist. Yeah. Krusty cooking it up, just throwing him on the Doomfist, recognizing that the Winston probably would not work against that Doomfist. It does feel like that counter. So great play by the San Francisco Shock, but as you said, Jack, they're not done. They got another big match against a very different team in the Dallas Fuel.
The Dallas Fuel might want to be a little bit scared, though, of this man, our player of the match, Proper. That guy had some unbelievable stat lines, like 10 and 0 on Eichenwalde. He had 20 final blows on the map after that on Route 66. Like, there's nothing stopping this guy, and there's a reason why so many people have him in their minds. MVP, Rookie of the Year. MVP, Rookie of the Year.
His Tracer is just absolutely incredible. His ability not only to get the kills, but to stay alive and make himself a threat is so valuable. And he's just always moving around the map, offering so much. MVP performance once again for him today. He's going to need to come up big against the Dallas Fuel because Tracer does feel like one of those things that can get a lot of value against the Zarya compositions.
It really can, but his Tracer performance already today looking absolutely stellar. I want to see more from him. I really do. Look at that stat. Like Pulse Bomb attach rate 61%, two and a bit deaths per 10, 11.5 final blows per 10. Like that is insanity.
And that's just the thing that I was saying. The deaths at only 2.7 per 10 minutes. That's just so impactful. Just consistently having that threat and then being able to weave that in with the 11.5 final blows. Absolutely incredible. I don't know if you can win both Rookie of the Year and MVP in a season, but he's definitely making a case for it.
Well, if he carries on this performance, he may do that. Scott, we're going to take a quick break because we've got the Atlanta Reign versus the LA Gladiators up next. I'm excited for it. The crowd's excited for it. I bet you guys at home are excited for it. We'll see you after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome all to our game break. What a match we've just been treated to over in Texas. So let's break it down with the help of Reinforce as well as Necra. Let's talk about how the San Francisco Shock got it done. Kalush gave himself very humble in his post-match interview, basically making it seem like he only just recently picked up that Doomfist. You know,
maybe he
just, you know,
maybe he was bad
picked it up and just happens to be so good at it. I mean, it really worked for them. But I'm still sweating from that last fight there, Necra. That one just went on forever.
Whew.
Yeah, I mean, oh my gosh, I wasn't sure if San Francisco was gonna just completely take it home there, or if Houston Outlaws were gonna bring it back and we were going to a map 5. It was absolute insanity, but honestly, just the entire match was just so fun to watch. Right off the bat, we did see the Houston Outlaws try this Sombra pick, but I will take a page out of Avril's book and quickly call that hero PP Poo Poo. They made it work on Ilios didn't really work out the way that that they think they wanted it to on Eichenwalde. So we really started to see the Shock turn it around there as they were able to continue to isolate Iris's Moira, which really did take a bunch of that healing and support off of the board for Dante's Doomfist. That was something that we wanted to keep an eye on for the series, and unfortunately, the San Francisco Shock were able to suss that out and take it out, so it wasn't as big of a threat. But there were honestly great moments from both of these teams. Like Merit's Reaper put in so much legwork. Pelican's Tracer was such a treat to see go up against Propers, and this was just such a fun match to watch.
I've been reinforced being a physical player and rewatching some of those clips, but yeah. I have to say, like, both teams really showed up today. So even though the Outlaws are out, I think just like the Mayhem, they went out with a bang. It was a good performance, despite maybe the end score not quite showing how close some of those fights and maps actually were reinforced.
No, I mean, absolutely crazy match. I think this was one of the best matches I've seen all tournament. Like, honestly, it was so close the entire time between these two teams. I feel like either Houston or San Francisco could clutch it out. Kilo was obviously so important for the San Francisco Shock this match because he was a dive target for the Houston Outlaws. You want to reach the soldier, and they played more defensive. You can see the statistics yourself: 9.1 final blows per 10 minutes, 2.8 tactical visor kills per 10 minutes. Those nano visors come in clutch. When you're playing against compositions like Tracers, like Reapers, you have this long-range advantage, right? And so Kilo, even though he died quite a bit, I mean, that's gonna happen. Like, when you're playing against a Doomfist, Tracer, and Reaper, that's gonna happen as a soldier. But I wanted to point out Kilo because obviously he was a focal point of San Francisco's Shock strategy when it came to like hiding in the house on Eichenwalde, when the entire strategy was just like go into the house and we hide and we put down the heal and we're going to stand around it. Or similarly on Route 66, when there's just like huge sightlines, right? That's when the soldier really favors out versus the Reaper and the Tracer. So I think Kilo did a great job on the soldier today, being very important for the Shock.
Absolutely. Now I'm excited. We've had so many good games already this tournament, so I'm just certain that we're going to continue in that fashion. Now, our next match will be fought out between the Atlanta Reign and the LA Gladiators. This is a semi-final match, so we're going to decide who will be waiting in the grand finals. And before we're going to talk about this game, we actually have an interview over in Texas with Danny.
Thank you so much, Zoe. Yes, I got Hunter here, the assistant coach of Los Angeles Gladiators. Hunter, how are you doing?
Very good. 2, pretty easy matches to get us here so far, and hopefully a third very soon.
I just want to say I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of everything that you have.
I get that every day.
I mean, yeah, let's talk about yesterday's match. It was against the Dallas Fuel. I'm going to be honest, a lot of people predicted Dallas to win, but you guys were the winners yesterday. Did you expect that win? Were you surprised at all?
I mean, I pretty much always expect to win when we play. I'd say Dallas is probably like the scariest opponent at this whole tournament. So beating them with, relative ease, that's a pretty good indicator for like the rest of what we have going on here.
All right. I mean, you guys, Gladiators right now, are looking really good. You guys are looking really strong. What do you think is the biggest strength for the Gladiators right now?
Glad's biggest strength for sure. We're really flexible. So, we've got a lot of one-trick teams here. They do literally one thing every single time. And, we're not really like that at all. Far more versatile than anyone else here.
True that. All right, one final question. You guys will be going up against the Atlanta Reign very soon. And I do know that was your former team as well. So do you have anything to say for Atlanta Reign? Because I know when you had a lot to say for Houston Outlaws. How about for this team?
I got a lot of respect for the Reign, genuinely, but I also, I sincerely hope that they